We're going to go live now. It's a 6:45 here in Colorado. And welcome to everybody. I am Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, and here with our Thursday live stream. The purpose of our Thursday live stream is to just meet, gather, and discuss what anybody has on their mind. I'd like to say hi to those who want to check in. Also, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on the fly, please go ahead and put that in there and we'll see what we can do. My overhead camera is not working today. It just gives me that. For some reason, OBS does not pick up the overhead camera even though the computer does. So, well, it's very finicky on that. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So temperature-wise here, we're at 71 degrees. The humidity outside, however, is 49%. We had thunderstorms roll through here today. On my flight training this morning for the very first time, as we took off, we had a little bit of rain on the windshield. We thought the rain was way to the west of us, but there was a little where we were. We managed to get out from under it, do our work, and get back. Although I had to land on a wet runway, it was not a problem. So let's see what we've got here. We've got Mike Oswald saying hello, AA7MO in Kirkland, Washington. And I imagine you guys are getting some rain up there from what I can see on the national weather. Optical Man Jeff is here from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, KE0KRO, where it's 94 degrees and sunny. And I believe it's normally a little humid there too, so that could be quite warm. William Myers, KE0OG says, hi Dave and all the Yogis. Russell, K4QPR, hi Dave, watch part of the flying landing video. It's more than I could do. Yeah, I put up my solo video, finally. I got a lot of people saying, great. I got one guy saying, would you please get this flying stuff off of the channel? My practice, I hope, is that the flying videos do not push an amateur radio video out of the way. I don't have another channel, and so I just throw them in here. If you don't want to look at them, all of the flying videos start with the word sky, and that way you can just ignore them there. Okay, let's see. We've got William Myers, 90 degrees in Bruce, Wyoming. Russell, hi William. Let's see. Glen Martin, Far West Missouri area, 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 54% relative humidity. That's not too bad, actually. It's a lot better than, say, 100 and 100, which I've seen in Florida. Richard N9HRA. Hi Dave, field day in Indiana, 94 degrees. Yes, this is the weekend for field day. You can go to the ARRL website and look for a nearby field day activity and drop by. Say hi. If you don't get on the air much, or if you tech and you've never worked HF, most field days have what they call a GOTA station. It's get on the air. And there will be somebody there who has the correct license who can sit with you and help you get on the air and make some contacts. And you discover how much fun HF can be. It's quite competitive. Okay, let's see. Whoops. William Myers, KE0OG says, Dave, thanks for sharing the flying videos. William Myers, I did it. I've soloed. I had a meeting today with a new instructor. My last instructor went off to fly for the airlines. So he's going to be making a career of airline flying. And the way that works is you've got to get a certain number of hours, usually as an instructor pilot. And then you can go to one of the airline flight schools. And they're so desperate for people right now. They would absolutely love for anybody who wants to come down and do that. So they will train him. He'll be working for SkyWest. And he'll be doing some training in Dallas and some training in Denver. And then his first time actually flying a SkyWest airline. And I know this may seem strange, but this is true for most pilots who come into the airlines. The first time they fly a real airplane is a revenue flight as co-pilot. They're put with a very senior captain in their very first flight. It's a revenue flight, passengers on board. That's because the simulators are so good that they can get them through all the gully wobbles before they get into the flight deck there. Okay, let's see. William Myers, I did it. Yes, I did. I soloed. Yeah, the instructor I had today, I have sort of a negative chemistry with, so I may not pursue him. Chuck Schreiber, good evening, Dave, and all Augies. N5 KVO from sunny, hot and dry South Texas. Wow. Another 100-degree day, currently 95. Wow. I saw this on the news, the national news, this heat wave that went from Texas all the way across the south out to the Atlantic Ocean was just wild. James KI5OEB says, congrats on the solo. Thank you very much. Bob Darlington says, evening all. Ed K6SDW, Sacramento 100 plus. It gets really hot out in the San Joaquin. Well, I guess you're in the Sacramento Valley. In the textbooks, it's called the Central Valley of California. But nobody calls it that locally. It's either if in the upper half, it's the Sacramento Valley. If they're in the bottom half, it's the San Joaquin Valley. And I was born in Modesto, which is in the San Joaquin Valley, and found it very strange that my elementary school textbooks referred to it as the Central Valley. That is what it is, and unfortunately, some of our nation's best farmland is being plowed under to grow homes. And I guess from an economic point of view, that's the best use of the land, but it does cut back on our farmland here in the U.S., which means we import more food. Lots of people ready and willing to do that. Terry, 2 Echo 0, India Papa Kilo, says, hi, Dave and folks. Greetings from a very warm London. Now, I understand anything over about 60 is very warm there. Wondering if you have a temperature, what it is. I have been to London 3 times, and the first 2 were part of a tour group. The second time I was helping staff a booth at the Farnborough Air Show. So DJ Jackson says, hi guys, Bill Castles, howdy. Don Zulu, hi Dave, and other Augies, 90 degrees in the Twin Cities this evening. Wow, Minneapolis, St. Paul. From KC0DWZ, Robert Watson, WA7SON in Tennessee. Bob, he goes by. Cedric Jones, howdy. Michael Cade, hello to you all. Whoops, we got a kick down. Thank you for the, okay. 73% humidity in London. Wow. Yeah, that's high. I was once in Ventura, California, which is right on the coast. It's the county seat for Ventura County. And I went with my wife to the county fair, which was right on the ocean. And there was an onshore breeze, and it was foggy and almost 100 degrees. And so it was one of those 100-100 combinations, and I just melted. It was so warm. So, okay, let's see. Very hot and humid here in southeast. Oh, Cedric Jones says hi. Southeast Arkansas from KI5SBA. 73% humidity in London. Wow. Bob, greetings from North Dakota. John Mills, hi Dave and Augies, greetings from La Palma in the Canaries. Hello. Cedric Jones, KF6WZL. William Myers, Dave's thank you for the advice on installing my hex beam. It is finally on my mast. My wife was the safety person and 4 friends helped with the install. Very good, very good. And I'm glad you took followed the best practice of having somebody be the safety person and lots of friends over. The hex beam it's not like it's heavy, but it is very unwieldy. I mean, it's huge. It looks like an umbrella that's been poked out the wrong way up there, but they do work really well. I like mine, love mine, in fact. Ranger Smith, hi everyone from WW4LLL from still steamy Tennessee. Ray Aguiar. Hello all from KE4 Yankee Alpha Foxtrot. First time on the chat. Well, welcome. Welcome. What we try to do here is literally just chat. And if you have a question of any kind, I'll try to talk about it. Let's see. Good evening, Dave, from Rick, K9ETE in lovely southeast Wisconsin. Walter Holby, Den9WEH from Michigan. Airboss 21. Dave, can you talk about the RF aspects of VORs a bit? When you speak with the flight service, FSS, Flight Service System, let's see, does the voice modulate the actual nav frequency? There's a sort of a yes and no aspect. First of all, let's talk about VORs. That's VHF Omni Range. Now, a VOR is a transmitter with the signal, and then as you go around it, and they have little antennas for this. It used to be they had something going around in a circle to do this. But you got one transmitter on the frequency, and then as you go around, you see that same frequency, or can't remember if it's 2 frequencies or 1 frequency. It probably would be 2. But each one is phased slightly differently, so that by the time you get all the way around back to the original, the phase difference between the 2 signals is 0. So if you are listening to this station, you'll get the phase difference in degrees, which happens to be exactly your bearing to the VOR when you get it straightened out for sign and everything like that. Okay, so it is not an automatic range device, in spite of the name OmniRange. It is a direction device. And the way these maps are set up, they show where the device is, and they've got these blue paths here, like this one right here, where they all intersect. There's a VOR there. So if you are on that, if you get directions to 2 VORs, then you can precisely locate yourself to within about a kilometer. Okay. Now, it used to be that those lines were flight paths that you could take. And the flight path, you'd be anywhere within a kilometer of the flight path. Well, now with modern navigation, you come right down the flight path. So you got to be a little careful about mid-air collisions, because we've got GPS and lots of computers and things like that. So now, some of the VORs have a ranging device on them, where you transmit a signal and you wait to see how long it takes to get a signal back from the VOR. And that will give you range. So you get range and direction. You can actually pinpoint where you are. Now, the Air Force has a system called TACAN, which is a ranging device. So you send out a signal, it receives it, sends out a signal, you time how long it takes to come back to you, and that will give you the distance. So if you know the distance to 2 TACANs, you can triangulate where you are. It's like the inverse. Now, if you put the VOR and a TACAN atop it. They call it a VORTAC. And this will give you both range and direction. So they're excellent navigation devices. Now, with the advent of GPS, everybody saw the FAA taking all of these out, and they did take quite a few out, but they left a good number in as a backup navigation system. Now they're having a problem with the Army. The Army likes to practice, and one of the things they practice is GPS jamming. And while it's localized, it has affected airliners and things like that. So there's more emphasis now on double checking between them to make sure that you are where you are. Now, as a private pilot, you are taught to use the VORs. As a sport pilot, you're not. So I have a very ancient GPS in my airplane. I'm not going to upgrade anything in the airplane until I actually get a license. And today was not, I don't know, very a very good indication of that happening. But I just use GPS to see where I am relative. Now, I'm flying strictly visual, and we fly around the Delta area, so I can always find my way back to the airport. One of the nice things about living in the mountains is you've got reference points. You know, if you're flying out over Kansas, you better make sure you know where you are, because I'll tell you what, every town has a grain elevator, a church, and a bunch of houses, and all towns look alike from the air. So you have to actually keep track of where you are, which is a lot harder than it is in Colorado. Okay, so I hope that helps answer the question on the VOR. Let's see. Okay. That's the RF aspects of VORs. Yes, each VOR is on a different frequency. Now, it is possible, since what's coming out of that signal is a fairly low frequency waveform, to put a voice on top of that, and that's where the FSS, you actually modulate on the actual nav frequency, but there are other ways to contact the various in-flight radio stations. Airboss 21 is KN2 DLT. Is that good for 2 meters at 50 watts? The answer is yes, that is good. Is it possible to go longer than that? Yes. I have hit repeaters that are 20 miles away from my front porch with just a handheld, but I've got a UHF antenna here I use to test DMR radios, and that goes 80 miles to Grand Junction, to where the DMR repeater is. And so it depends. If you're both on mountaintops, that's not an unusual distance. If you're on level territory, you know, Kansas again, that is definitely very good for that. The Edfong antenna, notice that the Edfong antenna, it's a vertical. Now, there are ways of making verticals at 2 meters where you stack them vertically, and that will bring the donut down a little bit so you get a little bit more range. But by and large, you've got to remember that a vertical is a vertical. Okay. Some verticals are better than others simply because of construction details. 5/8 wave, for example, which requires special feeding, is another way you can do that. You've got this donut pattern all the way around the vertical, and so you've got radiation going up, which doesn't do you any good. If you can bring that radiation down toward the horizon, you can get gain, and that's what some of these antennas do. But Edfong makes a perfectly good antenna. I wanted to order one once, and something got in the way of it, and I didn't finish it. Repeater 50 miles. You know, you might try that with 25 watts and see what happens, and see if you can still hit it. Um, Ray Aguiar says, love the channel, Dave. Quite hot in Florida today. Wow, I can imagine. I used to live in Florida. It could get very warm. We had air conditioning only in the bedroom, and there was no way to cool the rest of the house. We had those Florida louver windows that you could open up so the air could flow fairly freely in through the house. And if I were to do it now at this age, I would want whole house air conditioning. I'd want a bodysuit wrapped around me with air conditioning. Let's see, James KF50EB says 100-degree high today and current 93 with 40%. Dave Samsell, hello Dave, and fellow Augie 73 from AC3HD from Pennsylvania. Ranger Smith says keep the flying vids coming. There is a strong connection between amateur radio and civil aviation. Yes, there is. Ray says 100 plus. I actually run in this engine. It's a Jabiru engine which comes from Australia. It is an aircraft engine, but it has a lot of off-the-shelf parts on it. Let me just report. I'm going to report that, and I'm going to remove it. And put the user. Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm going to. It's somebody putting some very strange hide the user on this channel. That should take care of all of those. Okay. Somebody's spamming the channel. Okay, so let's see, Philadelphia, keep the flying bids coming. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of people like them. The 100 plus, the aircraft engine I fly can run on MoGas if it's very high octane, and I think without the lead in it. And that kind of gas is available here. It's expensive. But I run it on 100 LL, which is 100 octane, lightly leaded. And there's a lot of push from the Environmental Protection Agency to get piston aircraft off of the 100 LL, get the lead out. And they're making some progress on it. They do need to put in some sort of an additive. The problem is the octane rating relates to how much propensity there is for the engine to ping. A ping in an engine is a premature detonation, where the engine actually turns into a little miniature diesel, and as it's compressing, it explodes before the spark comes. That's premature detonation, and it is very hard on engines, and is not something you should do. If your engine is pinging, you can put in a higher octane gasoline. Well, the problem with aircraft engines is that they have to be light, after all, to actually go up in an airplane. And so to get that compression really high, to get the maximum performance out of it, you need a very high octane gasoline. 100 is supposedly the highest, right? Yeah. Well, people have run 120, 130 octane. I think the Allies' fuel in World War II was 130 octane. The Germans ran 100 octane. And somehow the secret of what kind of fuel the Allies ran never quite got over to the Germans, because they could have gotten better performance out of their engines. A lot of knocking in an engine, I mean, this is not a common thing these days. If you have knocking in an engine, you can go to a higher octane gasoline. It'll take care of it. So higher performance engines, higher performance cars will take higher octane. They must sell a lot of it because we've got 3 grades available. I always use the cheapest stuff, and it works fine. But you can hear the pinging. So if you hear the pinging, you might, have a mechanic check it, but also you could use temporarily a higher octane gas until you figure out what's going on. People are so rude, just ignore them. Oh yeah, put anything you want on my channel. Well, thank you for that vote of support. I try to put things out there that are of interest to you. I've noticed that the per video number of views is down a little bit, but it is this time every year because people are outdoors. They're not inside watching YouTube. So as the sun starts to set earlier, we'll see the channel statistics come back up. Okay, David Rothgeb, DJ, thanks very much for your support. I really appreciate that. David Rothgeb, hello from Greer, South Carolina, 90 degrees, 70% humidity. Good day to be indoors with the air conditioning on. Either that or under a fountain or something. KF6FE. Ranger Smith doing field day? Yes, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I carry a liter water bottle, and I will be carrying extra water on Saturday. I may not stay for the Sunday part of it. My wife and I are going up in the motorhome up to where our field day site's going to be because our president goes up there too. So we're going to go up there and we'll camp the night, and then my wife will take off on Saturday, and when I get tired enough, I'll just bring the motorhome home. We did get a Jeep to tow behind it, but we have not yet figured out the actual logistics of towing it. It turns out there are multiple options, multiple products, and everybody has their hand in your pocket as you are implementing this. Okay, let me explain a little bit about what field day is. If you are a tech, you may not have run into this before. It's usually done by clubs or groups. A field day, the idea of field day is it's not a contest, but an opportunity for hams to operate their equipment under field conditions. And that means that they are, just see if that's an emergency. Okay. The idea is to operate under emergency conditions once a year, and we all get our equipment out, get our generators out, get everything out, and usually it's done as a group. Our club is operating Class 2A, 2 Alpha, and that means there will be 2 transmitters on the air at the same time on different bands, and we'll try and keep that going. There will be times we only have one, or middle of the night, none. It goes for 24 hours. And the idea being you get there, get set up, contact as many other stations as you can. Now, officially it's not a contest, but it has the look and feel of a contest, and a lot of clubs take it extremely seriously. We are every year either number 1 or number 2 in the 2A class in Colorado. Colorado ARRL section, division, local, whatever. I can't keep that straight. But it's also one of the funnest days of the year. It's a time to go up. Some groups allow alcohol, some don't. There's usually a communal dinner of some kind, and we're going to have a barbecue place cater our dinner. And you can get quite a few people up there. It's a great opportunity for people who are not used to operating on HF to do so. You can actually get on and make calls. Now, I will tell you that timing is everything when you get on these calls. If somebody comes to you and says K0OG, and you sit there and wait and think about it, well, that person's gone. So you got to be ready. So as soon as they say K0OG, we go, we are 2A or 2 Alpha Colorado, and QSL. QSL means do you copy? A QSL card is a confirmation. The term QSL in all the Q codes actually means confirm. Okay, and so a QSL card confirms the contact. Okay. So field day is enormous fun. If you don't want to operate, you can sit around and talk. You can go watch other people operate. If you want to sit there and eat cookies all day, do that. There are often little things that go on. You can get some extra points for like conducting a little class on some subject. You get extra points for publicity. You get extra points if elected officials stop by the site, and it's a chance for every ham to participate. Now, the question is, can you participate from home? And the answer is absolutely yes. You can be a home station that's class 1 Delta. Or if you're on emergency power at home, like you're running on solar, that's 1 Echo. So I can very easily switch over to be 1 Echo because I've got this solar system set up here. Now I run the reference station, so I use the reference power supply, the reference power distribution, and all that, which means I'm on the mains, but it's just pull out one power cable, plug it in over here, and I'm on solar. So lots of different ways to go there. It's a lot of fun. Go out and find your field day. And let me show you how to find it. Let's go to the screen, and we'll go up here to ARRL. Okay, ARRL.org, Field Day, June 25th through 26th. That's Steve Goodrich, by the way. And the person who is on there, right, is also on the cover of the new tech book. We're going to be coming out with new tech videos extremely soon. There's very little change in what's going on. Now let's see if we can, field day, let's click on that. Okay, rules, regular Facebook group, t-shirts, join. Okay, some new rules start here. What is field day? Field day locator. Okay, so here's the field day locator. Have a designated club official put the information in, or go here. Is that where I am already? Okay, field day location. So let's just go on the map to Colorado. Here's Colorado right here. And use scroll and zoom to scroll the map. Okay. Montrose right here. Oh, I'll be faster than that. KE0OG on Sunset Mesa. There will be a GOTA. There's talk-in on our repeater. It's not a club repeater. It's a associated repeater. And Lou French is the guy in charge. So this right here tells you where. If you're up in Grand Junction, here's one there. Let's go, say, somewhere up in Minnesota. Okay, these are all field day sites that have registered and that will welcome drop-ins. Okay, so go ahead and do that. You can find yourself a field day site. Again, it's arrl.org/field-day-locator. Okay, so that's a great way to find what it is that you are looking for. Let me go back here. Okay, so that'd be a great way to find a field day site and go visit. In Mountain Time, it runs noon Saturday to noon Sunday, and you can set up beforehand. We usually start setting up about 8 o'clock in the morning, which is why I'm going to go camp the night before. Setup consists of getting your antennas up, getting everything ready, and so on. If you can set up within the time allotted, namely noon our time, you can go for an extra 3 hours. But the fact of the matter is nobody does that. Nobody's on those last 3 hours, so you ought to set up beforehand and get all your stuff going. There are classes. You can do 5-watt QRP. You can do battery powered. You can get extra contacts for doing satellite contacts. I mean, there's just so much wrapped up in this one event. It's just phenomenal. So yes, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Okay, wind and heavy dust storm along with thunderstorms here in Chandler, Arizona. You guys can really get some dust storms. Sometimes we get those too up here And if they're too early in the season, they're a real issue for us because it covers the snow with dust. I remember one time I knew we had dust from Utah because it was red. Well, it covered the snow with red, and that red absorbs sunlight much better than the white snow. And so the snow, excuse me, and so the snow melted very quickly and we had flooding. Okay, so right now our snow is pretty much all gone. So, but good luck there. Those heavy dust storms are just terrible in Arizona. That's from KK7APQ. Phil Lewis, hi Dave, congrats on your solo. Summer has finally made it to the Pacific Northwest. Field day forecast here, 95 degrees, woo, in the Pacific Northwest. Heading to a local park for a few hours and 20 meters and hopefully 66 meters on Saturday. Great. Okay. Let's see, what did I just do? Oh, I thought I got rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Hide user on this channel. Okay. That's supposed to take all those out. Here is another. Oh, I apologize. Somebody is putting spam up here, and it's very crude and pornographic spam. Okay. Let's see. I was in the hex beam. Okay. You have a bot. I know there's a bot on there, and I blocked it. So hopefully it won't be coming back. In 110.1, according to my weather station today. Wow, yes, that is warm. 93 degrees in Chino Valley, Arizona. Been running about 98 to 100 from W6CEF. No rain today, but very hot from Hush Money Jose Pisano. High from Oscar Alpha 4, Bravo Alpha, Quebec. Nice to have you, Jose. Peter said your videos were very helpful in getting my cert in Ontario in March. Well, good. I'm glad what I put up matches what you need up there. Hush Money meant to say he's in Key West. Well, that's you're always in a sea breeze down there, and I imagine it can get pretty humid. 100 sounds like New Orleans. Aguiar. Okay, thank you. Flight service station. Thank you, James, for that. It's been a while since I've looked at that, and I've never dealt with one. So, William Myers has added $25 to the chat revenue. If any of you are so inclined, I would encourage you to do the same. This is the time of year when channel funds are a little lean. So if you are so inclined, please understand that you should not feel obligated to do so. This is a free service. YouTube is free. There are ads on the channel, although I block mid-roll ads. Now, my older videos were put up before they had mid-roll ads, so some of them might show up with mid-roll ads. If you've got a video you think is particularly good and you're going to share it with people and it has mid-roll ads, that means ads in the middle, let me know. I'll fix it for that video. But routinely we do not put up mid-roll ads. Now, I know we're giving away revenue by doing that, but that's not the purpose of this channel. I'm retired. I do have some Social Security and a little bit of a Lockheed pension and so on, and some savings. But I will admit that the channel revenue really helps out, and it allows me to go flying. And this is very important, when there's something that I want to give a really good review on, I'll buy it with channel funds, so I'm not in any way obligated to the manufacturer, like I did with the DX Commander. I purchased that with channel funds. So that way I could say what I honestly thought, which got me in hot water with a lot of people, but it's what I thought. I thought the problem I had with the DX Commander Classic is not the antenna itself. The antenna is great, and it's one of the least expensive verticals you can put up. It does work. It does work very well. It's a fan vertical, quote. That doesn't mean there's fan blades, but that there's a separate wire for each band. The problem is the instructions. So we're going to take the latest instructions one of these days and go out and audit the construction of that thing there. And I'm going to do a final video on the DX Commander. I have recommended the DX Commander to people. In fact, I have even done it in the monthly column in QST. So I don't have it in for the antenna, but the original instructions were impossible to follow. And even if you watched videos, because I had two people try building it, both very smart teenagers who would be my proxy for a new ham, a new general trying to put this antenna together, who's not super up to date on all of the different things going on. And they watched the videos. They went through the instructions carefully. And the first guy couldn't do it. Now the second guy had different instructions. First guy had version 1.16, the second guy had 1.18, and he was able to actually get the thing up. Now the first time he put it up, it collapsed, but he reread the instructions, got it up, we did our review, it works really well. I did not spend the time to try and get it perfectly tuned, but we will this next time. And I'll probably leave it up. I mean, I've got a coax for it. And William Myers, KE0OG, sends $25 to the chat revenue and says, thanks for the advice. And Andy New says, hi Dave, from M. Mike 7, Charlie Uniform November in Bristol in the UK. Hello there. James, highways in the sky, these are. They are flight routes. They each have a name, mostly a number. There are also jetways, and these are highways in the sky. And it used to be, now our air traffic control system has not changed a lot since the days of World War II. So it's still done by voice, AM radio, by voice, not data. And, you know, it'd be nice if you just get a little screen right there. It says, go that way. Or couple it to your autopilot and have it take you that way. But we don't do that. So they had these highways. Now, with the new GPS navigation systems, the big thing that the airlines have wanted over the past 20 years is direct routing. Go from LA to Boston, the Great Circle route, and they're able to do that in a lot of cases now. But it's a lot easier to control traffic. Think of it as a giant desert where people can go any way they want, and they put several thousand people out there. It can be a mess. So you take that same desert and put in freeways, roads, parking lots, and so on, and now you can have the thousands of people out there and they don't run into each other unless they have an accident of some kind. Okay, so that's why they had these jetways and these flightways or flight paths, whatever they called them. Okay, and they're still there and you can still use them. Okay, so hi Dave, greetings from Brazil, from Fernando de Carvalho Araujo. Okay, my Spanish is really rusty. It's not Spanish, it's Portuguese if it's from Brazil. Hi Dave, greetings from Brazil, 73 from Papa Uniform 7, Japan Delta Papa. Very good. Nice to meet you, Fernando. Terry from England says, I was watching one of your training vids the other day when my daughter came in the room. She saw you of about 12 years ago and says, wow, he looks and sounds like his dad. I say, no, that's Dave. Yeah, I do. You know, now that I'm getting, my dad died at 94 a few years ago. And he had colon cancer, skin cancer, and prostate cancer. He had 2 heart attacks, and he died at the age of 94. So go figure. Longevity actually runs in the family. His sister lived to 97, although he had another sister he lost to cancer who was just, I think, in her 30s or 40s. Me Wrong Way says, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate that. Thank you. James KF50EB, VFR is easy to navigate by. Oklahoma is hard to navigate as well, as you learn. Yes, it's flat. Every town, every little town looks alike. See, what they do, the way this worked, they had the railroad lines come through, and the railroad lines were every 50 or 60 miles, going across horizontally the states. And then every 10 miles or so, the railroads would put a siding in and declare it. They'd give it a name, a town. And then usually the co-op would build a grain elevator there. So all the farmers within 10 miles could bring their grain to one spot where they could sell it, and then it would be loaded onto train cars and hauled east or west, as the case may be. And so you look at the Midwest, and it's still like this. Little towns dotted every 10 miles along the railway tracks. And some of those towns have become ghost towns, pretty much ghost towns. The only thing operating there is the elevator. Other towns, a few of the towns have started to prosper, and they attract the shopping and so on, like McCook, Arizona. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a 30,000 people strong city. It's got a Walmart. It's got all kinds of businesses, hospitals, all that kind of stuff like that. And that's because with the modern highways, you can't put a hospital every 10 miles because there aren't enough people. But the modern economy needs more people, so they get more people. So anyway, that's the VFR problem. There are hundreds of GPS jamming and spoofing events every year by private parties. The official military ones would be published ahead of time, not necessarily very far in advance. They should be in NOTAMs, notices to airmen. And if you've got electronic flight instruments, they'll pop up and you'll see them. Now, I don't have that. Well, I do too. I have an ADS-B receiver here. Of course, my aircraft has an ADS-B transmitter. I've got, I have the software and so on, and one of these days I'm going to take it up and get it connected. I wanted to get a little further along in my flight training, but like I said, I got a new flight instructor today, and I think we're going to have just one session with him. Mike Ramsey, hello. Let's see, welcome. He says this is his first time here. Happy to have you with us. We're at 152 viewers right now, 153. I've got conflicting information up here on the live stream page. Didn't they use VOR to send voice communications to commercial jets in one of the Die Hard movies? I wouldn't know, but they may very well have. Some of those movies take some rather extreme liberality with the truth in their movies to make things come out the way they want it. Harry Rundle is here. Hi, from Harry AC3EK. Getting ready for the big field day event at this weekend at our Aero Park Club location. Great. Going to be a 4 alpha configuration. That's 4 transmitters on the air at the same time. Scott Anderson says, thinking of changing from EdFed half wave to vertical antenna due to noise. The vertical is going to give you a little more noise, but don't have lots of room in the yard for radios. Recommendations on verticals. Well, I'm going to slip back to what I just said earlier about the DX Commander Classic. It's less expensive than a lot of the other verticals. It's also plastic. So you get what you pay for in terms of sturdiness, but it works just fine. If you guy it properly, it'll stay up. At least it's flexible in the wind. Your radials can be as short as 10 feet each. Now put in about 35 or 40 of them, but 10 feet each, and then you got a 20 by 20 area somewhere that you can stretch those radials out in, you'll be in good shape. You'll have a very nice antenna. So that would be something to start with. And that's from Scott Anderson, who is W7SCD in Spokane. Warren Baker. Why have I got those two little dots there? I don't know. Warren Baker. Hi, Dave. WA4BAK here. I'm doing my first field day this weekend. Any advice? Well, there was some very good advice earlier. And that is hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. If I know this is crude to put on the air, but if you're not peeing every 3 to 4 hours, you're not drinking enough water. Okay, that's how you can tell. And your pee should start, unless you're on medications like I am. If you're otherwise, your pee should be coming out clear. Okay? When it does that, you know you're hydrating enough. If it comes out yellow and it's 6 hours between peeing or you never pee, you run the risk of heat stroke. So please hydrate, and eat well and have fun. And Warren, if you haven't been operating very much, go operate the GOTA station. There will be someone there who will assist you and has the right license class to use it. Or take your turn at one of the stations. I like to work sideband on field day. I can keep a run up for about an hour and a half, and then I am so exhausted. I can't do it. I know I need to quit when I start using my own call sign instead of the club call sign. It's time. Yeah, I'm making mistakes faster than I'm making good contacts. So, but just go, be there, help out, enjoy chatting with other people, and so on. Stay cool and drink lots of water. Bob Cox, Bob, KD4LOK in DeLand, Florida. Robert, are you the one that sent me? I sent a thank you note for this. Let's see. It's Robert Cox right here. Okay, remember when I asked if somebody lived near DeLand, Florida, to go check and see if the place that I was hoping to get my parachute from even existed? And Robert lives 2 miles from there, and he drove over and he talked to the people, and he sent me some stuff he got from them. And I was able to get in touch with them, and the parachute is now here. Thank you, Bob, very, very much. It's here. Thank you. So, Robert Cox, thank you very much for that. Harold Lockwood, hi Dave, I'm a new ham and have started to watch every video you have made. Poor guy. I'm up to 40. Well, you're 5% into it. We've got over 750 videos. Thanks so much. Learned much from you so far. Thanks, Butch. Well, Butch, that's why it's there, and that's why I do it. Yes, there are finances involved. Yes, there's logistics, cameras, assistance, everything like that. But I do it because I want to help people. I have to feel useful in my old age. I'm not that old, I'm 70. But I have to feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. You know, just sitting back and in a vacation spot and looking at the surf and all that sort of thing, to me, is just absolutely boring. I mean, it's nice to do once in a while, but what I really want to do is help. And so my retirement project is ham radio, to help people with ham radio. So thank you very much. Ranger Smith also says, he says thank you to Ranger Smith. Pamela, N1ZKH, good evening from Massachusetts. Good evening. Beautiful up there. I've been to Massachusetts. It's great. Glenn Martin, can wire cable be used when using 20-foot haul top rails as masts for a horizontal dipole? Can wire cable be used? I would guy the masts with something like parachute cord. By the way, I had somebody tell me that parachute cord, standard olive drab parachute cord, is very good in UV. So I bought a spool of it at a place he suggested. I'm going to set some up outside to do a test. a long-term test. We're going to leave it up for a year, going to leave it up for 2 years, and so on, and do tests. Now, you can string an antenna between them. I recommend that between the top of the pole and the beginning of the antenna here be 3 feet of rope. And that is because if you get the end of the antenna right there, suddenly the pole becomes part of the antenna. And at about 3 feet, that effect pretty much goes away. So then you can use any kind of wire you want, practically. And it really doesn't matter if it's doubled. Like you can take some Romex or something like that. I'd strip the Romex apart and just use the wire that's in there. You can use the bare wire, which is the ground wire, or you can use the white or black wires to make that dipole. I do have a video up on how to make a dipole from THHN wire. It's very easy. I also have a spool of wire in the garage that I picked up. It's 500 feet. It's white. 7-strand wire. I prefer the stranded wire. The THHN actually refers to the plastic on the cover, but the wire stranded is so much easier to deal with than the other wire. One thing you have to be careful of when you put up, if you use the solid wire, don't nick it. If you nick it, that's a break point for it there. Okay, I hope that helped answer your question there, Glenn. Brian says KJ6EWB, hello Dave and all. Sunwave, hi, this is me, is that you? Maybe, I don't know. Peggy Love, live again, good to see you as always. Matthew Jones, what was your first field day like? Oh, I'm trying to remember if I did field day in the Air Force. I know I did it right when I got out of the Air Force. I got out of the Air Force just prior to field day in 1980. And I went to work for Northrop. It wasn't Northrop Grumman then yet. It was just Northrop in Hawthorne, California, which was the center of the world there. And I went there, I got there right after dinner, and I left just before breakfast. So there was no food. So I told the club that the next year I would be in charge of the food. And so I went to the company, Northrop, and said, and this is back when the companies supported clubs and stuff. The world has changed. You don't see that anymore. But I asked if I could have some money for the food because it was too bad. It was Ward Silver, whom I need to talk to, but I'm on this right now. He was, let's see. So I went to the company and said, can you give me some money? And they said, well, you know, things are really tight this year. Could you get by on $500? And I said, well, doggone, that'll be rough, but I'll see what I can do. $500, good grief. We'd never had that much money for food. So I purchased all the fixings and everything for the whole time. The food tent was the first one up and the last one down. And people could come in and make themselves a sandwich any time of the day or night. We had the dinner, the standard dinner that we usually have. I had stuff for breakfast. It was wonderful. We had everything. There was one drawback. The Northrop Club is one of the clubs that allowed alcohol at their field day events. And so I got a trash can filled with ice and beer. And when you send a Mormon to buy the beer, you get what you get. And I went down to the supermarket and I got, well, that's green, and that's blue, that's red, and so on. And I just don't know. Well, it turns out I bought a lot of beer made by a company called Pearl, and nobody liked it. They were all mad. And I says, well, you send them over to buy the beer, you're going to get what you get. So anyway, that was my first and second field days. AIDD Expeditions is on a Hellschreiber net at the moment. Hellschreiber is a technique invented in Germany in the interwar period for landline distribution of news. It was sort of like the AP of the time, except they used Hellschreiber. And it would go over radio as well. And it is available today. It's a niche mode, but if you have software for PSK31, it will probably also have a Hellschreiber mode on there. It's really weird sounding signal. It's technically, you're sending an image, and it's sent via FM, and you get this really weird wee 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 like this, and it does work. It does work. I haven't done an Hellschreiber QSO in a long time. As Mike Oswald said, as to high-octane fuels, Jimmy Doolittle developed that advancement while he was at Shell Oil between enlistments, I believe in the 30s. Well, thank you for that information. I appreciate it. And AIDD AI5DD is on 40 meters. John, K6RXD, says, good evening from K6RXD/2 from Long Island, New York. W2, whoops. Oh, God, you know what the problem is? There is somebody actively trying to put that crap on here. I'm going to try not to notice it. Okay. Let's see. I think I may have missed it. Oh, here's W2AEW. I run a solo field day effort, which you can. That'd be 1 alpha, setting up the former site of the Marconi Wireless Company East Coast transmitting site in Franklin Township, New Jersey. Always fun. Running 1 Bravo battery. Very good. Good for you. I'll look for you. Ed, K6SDW, field day is a great time to practice CW. Oh, you bet. You bet. Our club's old CW fanatics come out of the woodwork on field day. Ralph Leland says, hi, Dave and everyone, K4TA in Fork Union, Virginia. Sam Miller says, eating cookies all day sounds like a good plan. I think so. AI5 Delta Delta Expedition is supposed to be 105 this Saturday. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I will be with my radio club working CW with the club call sign. Peter says, if you can't get away because the wife says you have to clean house, it would be 1W. There you go. Russ, AE0PX. Sorry I'm late. Hello, everybody. Hi, Russ. John, K6RXD, says, field day is eating with incidental ham radio. There is some truth to that. Bush Pilot says, on our field day, we're going to start in the morning by setting up some gear in the parking lot at our local farmers market, passing out information about our local radio groups, and making contacts. Very, very, very good. Very good. I commend you for that. We cannot see the map. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a spammer on. Oh, well. One of those things. Ranger Smith has to run. AI5DD says, night. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. When was that, Dave? Who was that? You need a mod in the chat. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. You need somebody to play moderator for you. I do. James, KI50EB, says, hello, Andy. AI5DD. 91 at the moment here in Oklahoma. Jeff Cohen. Funny how YouTube can identify the copyright violations in a second, but the long-standing comment and chat span. Yes, he needs a moderator helper. I do. Andy says, hi, James, brother. Optical Man Jeff. When mounting a mobile radio in your car, do you need to run the negative lead all the way to the battery? Yes, I recommend that, and also recommend that you put a fuse in the negative lead near the battery. There's a reason for that, and that is that it is very possible for, under certain conditions, if the ground return lead comes loose on the engine, the whole car electronics will try and find ground through your radio lead, and that's why you want the fuse there. Okay. Harry Rundle adds $10 to channel funds. Hi, Dave. Here's a contribution to your gas money for your field day weekend. 73s from Harry AC3EK. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Kevin KI5OGA says, Dave, I meant to say, how come you can talk and listen at the same time on the phone, but you can't get a radio to work that way? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You have to have two radios, one transmitting, one receiving. And you can do that like you transmit on 2 meters to some other guy who receives on 2 meters. He transmits on 70 centimeters back to you, and you receive on 70 centimeters, and then you have the full duplex. Okay? And the reason that's not often done is because people generally, I've found a lot of exceptions to this, people generally don't talk over each other. But radio is one way at a time. Now, technically that's a simplex. It's sometimes called duplex, but it's not. It's not true duplex because you can't hear at the same time you're talking. Now, the advantage of being able to hear while you're talking is if the person has to interrupt you, has a question or something like that. But it is very rare on ham radio, but you can certainly do it. Now, I wouldn't want to leave my radio and transmit all that amount of time, so knock the power way down, 5 watts or so. Okay, so Kevin, you can do it. Paul Griffith, I'm away from my QTH in New Orleans on business. Found a field day site in Lawrence, Michigan to visit if I'm not working on Saturday. Very good. Jedi of the Republic, Dave, you fly awesome. So much fun. Yes, it can be. James KI50EB, we love you for the review of the DX Commander. Good critique is what it is. Thank you. Ray Aguilar has 4 thumbs up. I. Peter says ham radios would have been handy when I was a kid, and the family phone was in my aunt's house half a kilometer away. Glad I had the bicycle. My mother grew up, they were on a party line, and there were like 7 or 8 people in a party line. There were different ringtones for who it was for, but it was very common for people to listen in on each other's calls, and that term party line has still lived up. There are multiple parties on a party line. Dave, do you think the best way of mounting an antenna on a tree branch that's 45 feet off the ground? Well, and he's KN6KLL, you can drop a wire from, put up a pulley. Just take some wire, get some hose, garden hose, cut some pieces of garden hose so you can run the wires through the garden hose, and put the garden hose up over the branch, and then put a pulley down there so that you can pull up a vertical from the ground. And that's a great way to support an antenna. Okay, DJ Jackson, the single transceiver can't do it because broadcasting would cook your own receiver pathway. That is true. ADSB allows better resolution of the big sky. It does. James is KF50EB. ADSB is a air data system broadcast, I think is what it's for. But my airplane has a transponder on it for normal radar, but it also has an ADSB transmitter, which is required now. And it transmits my location every 2 minutes. It transmits a bunch of flight data. And you can actually track any flight in the USA with that. I've got to find that URL to do that. So I can track my own flights, see what it looks like. Optical Man Jeff, KE0OG, says, It puts $15 into the chat revenue and says, thanks for sharing your time with us, with all of us each Thursday. Thank you very much, Jeff. Joseph Rogers says, I remember field day 1979 on Lake Sanford in Florida on a houseboat. Dipoles, and as we rotated around our anchor, so did the direction of our sending. Great time, 73 from W6CEF, but at that time it was KB4TJ. And Darren Hitchings, who his icon here shows a young man in a suit, adds $20 to the chat revenue. Thank you very, very much. Joseph Rogers says, novice pilot, IFR means I fly roads. Yes, I have been guilty of doing that. Sam Miller, Peter, you had a radio station on a bicycle. Yes, you can do that. Of course, you can just operate FM mobile on that, but I have seen articles about people operating CW from a bicycle. Now, talk about multitasking. That would be good. Smoberdine says, I watched your video regarding radials for vertical end-fed half-wave, but I don't recall the gauge of the wire to be used. Can I use any 18-gauge stranded insulated wire? Yes, absolutely. The actual current in each radial is very low. I mean, it all adds up to equal the current that's in the vertical antenna. So if you put 30 radials out there, you cut that current by 30. What I use for radials is I'll go down to Home Depot and get a spool of wire, 500 feet or 250 feet. I prefer the stranded wire because it's much easier to deal with. But I'll just start laying out radials for the thing. My main antenna is a step IR, big IR vertical. And it has 30, 35 radials on it like that are sort of random lengths. And it works really well. Works really well. Okay, let's see. But yes, you can use that wire, and that's fine. James KI50EB, Waynoka, Oklahoma, was an air rail travel center. Cool. James KI50EB again. IFR GPS will include the notices. Yeah, Peter, no, I was a kid with a bicycle with 3 family houses on a large farm, and my aunt's house had the only phone, so I was the message runner. Oh boy. Hi, Peter, I wish I had 2 radios, 1 per house. Well, the Chinese ones are quite inexpensive. David KE0OG RNT adds $10 to the chat revenue. Says, liked your videos, toroidal for 50 to 100 ohms, 5.5 to 7 turns. Yes, that will do it. You take the square of the ratio, and that will give you the impedance match. Have you checked out the KA-HRT antenna? I have not. There is UV resistant paracord. Oops, we got bumped there. Okay. And now the system wants to block a perfectly good message. Okay. Nico Bezzari, I can't do a trill with my new dentures. KC1PNP, hello from Boston. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Bush Pilot, KI5RTM /WRQW506 from West Texas. Periodically, New Mexico blows by. Also retired. I use a G1M and EF end-fed antenna. 3 different ones for the 4 bands of the radio. Works great. I'm doing CW. Very good. Jedi of the Republic. Hey, Dave, Noon Technicians. Been playing around with 10 meters? Yes. I can do FT8 decent? Yes, but voice never gets out. Try your 10 meters in the middle of the day or early afternoons, or at dusk or sunrise and sunset, right as it gets dusky. And your dipole of course, you probably got a horizontal dipole for FD8 and stuff like that. Very carefully check through your manual for your radio. Okay. Now, there are two things that you need to set very carefully according to the manual. The first is the audio gain. And we'll tell you in here how to set that for your voice and your microphone. The other thing you want to set is voice compression. Now, the voice compression, you don't want to overdo it, and there's no point in underdoing it, but then you can turn compression on as you try to contact people, and it has the effect of doubling the value of your signal. So it's just an audio thing. For example, my videos, I do compressed audio. It makes them sound, it makes them a little easier to understand. Most broadcast videos compressed, but you can turn on compression on yours. I leave the compression on all the time, because the ICOM compression is good enough for getting out. It really helps. Dan S., love you, Dave. You've helped me so much. 73 K5STY. Darren Hitchings, it's good advice on hydration. My aunt is a nurse and a Rocky Mountain field guide, and she says the same thing. Yeah, when you're at altitude, you need to be really careful to stay hydrated. Phil Parrish says, good evening from W4 Alpha India November. How can lightning arresters be used in conjunction with an amplifier? Most of the arresters I see are only rated for around 200 watts. That is true. That is true. However, the Alpha Delta, you can get two ratings, one for 200 watts, one for 2,000 watts. So get the spark tube little thing for 2,000 watts for use with an amplifier. Okay. If you use the 200 watt one with an amplifier, it'll constantly be shorting while you're trying to use your amplifier. That's damaging to the amplifier and will probably kick the amplifier offline. So you can use the arrestor that you have, take out the old little spark tube, and then put the new one in that is the higher rating. Okay, Peter has to head out. 73 to all. Ruth Ann says, hello, so glad we met you at Hamvention in Dayton. KE0OG I met lots and lots and lots of Augies at Dayton. It was so fun. So fun. And if you see me at a Hamfest, and I'll be going to PacificCon, probably also down to Albuquerque, if you see me, come up and say hi. Happy to see you, happy to take a selfie with you, whatever you would like to do. Just please don't throw things at me. Let's see. Bob Darlington directs his comment to Phil Parrish, depends on the arresters. Shortwave, yes. I can't use them on my antenna. I use spark plug 600 ohm ladder line doublet. Yes, that's the common thing to do with ladder line, is the spark plugs. What is the optimal height for a multi-band hex beam? Whatever you can get it up to. Does it play by the same rules as a dipole, meaning a half wavelength? Yes, actually it does. So that means you can get it at a half wavelength for one of the 5 or 6 bands covered by your antenna. So just get it up there where you can get it up. Mine's 20 feet high. Well, there's the rotator and a little piece about this big, so I'd say it's 22 feet high. And it works fine. So yeah, that's the thing about multi-band antennas. If you're trying to optimize for one band, great, but you're immediately not optimum for the other bands. So one of those things. Okay, Alpha Delta has a surge protectors for 2 kilovolts. Yes, they do. Whiskey 7 Back Roads, hello from PNW. Bob, Pacific Northwest. Bob Darlington, Evening Ellen. Glenn Martin says thanks. Ham Radio Hobo, stuck in Denver, Colorado. was thinking of going to Boulder, Colorado for field day. Well, if you go to Boulder, Colorado for their field day, say hi from me, because I used to be a member of that club many years ago when I lived in the Boulder area. And that was 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Let's see, it's 2022. We moved down here in 2003. It was 19 years ago. Okay. KM4OOS says good icons. Ham Radio Hobo, he just says hello to AF7J. Just Awful Gamer says, I can't believe 139 people are watching this. Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or what. But I show 155. So, Robert Cox, I'm in Bunnell. Bunnell, name of a key, I think. KE0OG, Ham Radio Hobo, AF7J. Anthony Quick Energy, hello all from Anthony N1PLO. Anthony Quick Energy in Connecticut. Alex Angle K says, good work, Dave. Thanks for doing the live chat, N9QIW. Sam Miller, Northrop's old headquarters in Hawthorne is now SpaceX headquarters, yes. Yeah, those big hangars have been taken over by SpaceX, main factory for Falcon 9 rockets. Sorry, Ward, I'm still doing my live stream. Would like to see a video on the challenges of mobile installations. I have one. It's one of the general videos that talks about mobile operating. I go up and film Lou French's HF installation in his truck. And so that's available for that. I haven't done much beyond that. I carry a hybrid, which I understand is optimally bad for ham radio. Moonroof too, no idea where to put the antenna. One place you can put it if you have a classic trunk is just right there. You kind of want to put it on something metal, and a lot of roofs these days are plastic. So yeah, it's a challenge. I'll have to talk to somebody who's really good on that. ADSB in and out. Whoops. Hi, Ward, I hit the wrong button. I'm in the middle of a live stream. Can I call you back? Okay, yeah, I'm doing a live stream right now. So I'll give you a call back. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye. I hit the wrong button. I wanted to turn it off, but I actually answered it. Okay, ADSB in and out. Yeah, I have the ADSB out. That's required. Every aircraft has to broadcast its information. FlightAware. I'm going to write that down. FlightAware. I think I'm running way behind here. Okay, Ricky Sheets, Threadripper was there. Hey, Ricky Sheets, hey, Dave. Just got my technician license yesterday. Congratulations to you, and welcome to ham radio. Go get yourself a little handheld or something to use while you're at field day. Go to a field day and see all the different things that can be done. DJ asks people to hit the like button. We've got 90 likes so far. Ralph K on 5NUK. We have a member that does POTUS CW on his bicycle in Grayson County, Texas. And James Totten includes $10. Says from Jim WA8HUB, I got an entry from you for the drawing. And I've got that here. So fuses in a car in both positive and negative? Yes. Always heard the fuse was on the positive side? Yeah. The rare use case is when the main wire from the engine block to the battery negative terminal gets loose. Okay, I'll grant you that's a very rare case. And that's why the fuses are so close to the battery. All radios these days come with long power leads, and the fuses are at the end of them. That's a little weird for in a home station, but you can always modify the wires. But when you do a mobile installation, the best practice is to run both of those wires to the battery. Now, you can run into a condition where you leave the radio on and forget to turn it off, and then you've got an issue because you run your battery down. So I have heard of people who have put little relays in the line connected to the ignition, so that when the ignition goes off, the relay slips out and removes power to the radio. So, I mean, there's lots of different ways you can do that, but it works. Let's see, James Totten just got back from our club movie night. Love your live stream. Thank you very much, Jim. Darren Hitching, so fuses in a car. Yes, okay, we already talked about that. Warren Baker has to go. And Optical Man Jeff says, loved your video on kit building. We need more people to get interested in kit building. Maybe we can get Heathkit back. There are a lot of people who have tried to get Heathkit back, and it doesn't work. It's just, you know, times have changed. Just Awful Gamer, I'm surprised there aren't more watching this week. 152. Yeah, it's starting to slip off as we get. We're 4 minutes away from end, so let me get back to all of these. Phil Parrish sends $10. Thank you very much. Let's see, Ham Radio Dominica. Ishmael Samuel is there. I have a question. I grounded my station radio and power supply to my ground rod, and I still get high noise on 40 meters. What mix of ferrite beads or torides do I need for 40? If the noise is coming in directly on frequency, the ferrites and stuff aren't going to help you. You want to make sure that your station is grounded, your coax is grounded, everything's grounded. I did a video on it. It's Ask Dave number 8, and you can find that. It was quite some time ago, but the information's still fairly current. Okay, so Ishmael, go talk to some of your club members there and see what they can do to help you, because they can come over and look at it. He also mentions that he grounded the power supply. And he used the braid from the coax cable. Use a separate braid for the grounding, separate braid. Okay. K4TA says hello. David and Jeannie are in Texas. Sent me an email. Okay, congrats on your solo. Thank you. Ham Radio Hobo. 73, I guess my semi-truck without the trailer will make it up to Boulder Field Day site. Very good. Doesn't Ward Silver watch your live stream? Apparently not. He just got back from a trip. And so, yeah, giveaway next Thursday. I think, yes. Let me check. No. That's June 30th. We do it the first Thursday of the new month. We'll do the giveaway. There's still time to enter. There's still a week left that you can do that. Okay. Let's see. Sinister Pisces, welcome back. Caught the whole stream from the beginning. I've been listening while putting together a new computer. I hope you have better success with that than I did the first time with this one. But I got it all working. Is Starlink available in Montrose? Not really, no. However, I have an RV, and I can get Starlink from my RV, which I'm really tempted to do because very often when we're camping, we can't get good internet, and we like to watch the news and Netflix things and so on. Chris K0OG adds $10 to the live stream, says, thanks, Dave, for all you do. Have a fun field day. And with that, I'm going to say to all of you, have a good field day. Go find a field day site. Go to the arrl.org/field-day, and you can get yourself to the Field Day Finder and have a good time with that. It's a fun weekend to do this and a great thing to do. So with that, thank you all so much for coming tonight. A very nice chat. Tried to answer some questions. How do you enter the giveaway? I just put up a video on entering the giveaway. It's only a couple days old. But basically you send a card or letter to Dave Casler, KE0OG, P.O. Box 98, Ridgeway, Colorado 81432. Note down here, it says it's for the June giveaway, okay? And I need your mailing address, or whatever address you want the thing shipped to if you win. And I need your phone number, and in case there are questions. And all of the entries after the drawing go in the shred bin, okay? So there won't be any problem with that. Do you have recommendations for a relatively inexpensive QRP-HF rig? There's a lot of them out there. You can build one fairly cheaply, but you can look at the Xiegu products for something like that. The Xiegu G90, I think, is a common one. Glad to hear your solo flight's been going well. I hope you can find a better instructor. So do I. Okay, so thank you all very much, and until we next meet next week, 73.